And now, live in studio, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. He's a successful entrepreneur, published author, top listing agent, a real estate and finance expert that goes to bat for you every day as a consumer advocate. Your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes.
And yes, here we are again, another day committed to being your consumer advocate, all about helping you understand your buying decisions, making you more street smart here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. We'd like to help you win in any marketplace. And we want to thank one of our sponsors this segment. We're going to give a shout out here to Veteran Gutters, Brandon Porter and his team. They do such a great job here in Tampa Bay. He's a veteran, served our great country, American-made products, Veteran Gutters. Reach out if you are thinking about putting on gutters or know someone who is. Brandon Porter and his team, they do such a great job, I can tell you, from firsthand experience, first-class organization here in Tampa Bay. We got a great lineup for you today as well. We're going to have our first maritime law attorney on the program, Christopher Kubaki, on the show, Kubaki Law here on the program. Michael Watkins as well, 401k revival.com. He's a financial advisor and a guru in that space. We're going to talk to him about his book as well. He's the principal of Tampa Bay Advisory. And we also have attorney Frnk Miranda, Charles Miranda Law, in studio as well coming up. So we've got a great action-packed show lined up for you here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. I want to let you know about Tampa Bay's Best Career Fair coming up. We are putting together an event, kind of a public service event that we're putting on out there. So many people are saying, hey, we're having trouble hiring. We're looking for a job. So we're going to try to bring those two parties together. 30 different businesses coming that are looking to hire as soon as possible. We're going to have a DJ, food and drinks. It's going to be a fun time. Wednesday, October 20th, 6 to 8 p.m. at the Largo Event Center coming up. Tampa Bay's Best Career Fair. Register on eventbrite.com. And it's brought to you by the Consumer Quarterback Show, Massive Marketing Pros as well. Tampa Bay's Best Career Fair, Wednesday, October 20th, 6 o'clock at the Largo Event Center. Make sure you tell your friends about it and spread the word for us. Help us out and spread the word. We greatly appreciate that. All right, we'd like to feature our real estate listings live on air on the show. I've got a hot property listing in South Tampa, 6012 Russell Street. This is a $1 million listing that we've got. Beautiful property, 1 block from Bayshore. It's a Mediterranean palace, just a gorgeous property here. 3,000 square feet, 4 bedrooms, 3 baths, custom-built home, Ballast Point community. And this property has multiple suites, extremely large walk-in closets. Just a great opportunity to own on a corner lot here in beautiful South Tampa, Florida. 6012 South Russell Street in Tampa. A great opportunity to own real estate here in Tampa Bay. How about a investment duplex in Pinellas County? 722 Pruitt Drive on Madeira Beach. This is an $800,000 listing. 722 Pruitt Drive, Madeira Beach. Waterfront, bring your boat. You got a 95-foot lot, so it's almost a double lot there. Just a beautiful opportunity here. 2 units, of course, with a duplex on the beach, deep water access, large boat dock, bay access. Check out the beautiful photography compliments of Fabre Frameworks. 722 Pruitt Drive, Madeira Beach. And you can see all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com.
This is God's country.
All right, attorney Frnk Miranda in the house. Welcome in, sir.
Oh, it's great to be back.
Yeah,
it's been a while.
Good to have you back, man. Haven't seen you in a while. And give us a little teaser of what we're going to talk about today.
Well, we talked about earlier before we came on the radio about it was kind of a misnomer to some degree of the moratorium when it came to evictions.
Yeah.
And so the evictions and the moratorium came about only if the tenant could prove that the non-payment was based upon COVID-related incidents, loss of job, whatever the case may be. But there's other reasons why someone would breach a contract or if the contract expires. So I represented numerous investors that had tenants in there that refused to pay, didn't want to pay, couldn't pay.
Yep.
They have mortgage payments and obligations to make, so that trickles down. The problem trickles down to everybody. And so how we got the tenant to leave effectively was we were able to evict them based upon the fact that the term of the lease had expired. It had nothing to do if there was COVID or not.
Oh, okay.
It was time to go anyway.
Got it.
And so when it's time to go and you want to sit there and camp out for another 6, 8, 10 months, were some people taking advantage? Potentially. Were some people hurting?
Yeah.
Potentially, but you'll never really know.
Yeah, such a weird situation with that. And by the way, our YouTube channel, one of our most highly viewed videos on our YouTube channel was you and I talking about the moratorium. A big question I guess people had during, hey, what's the moratorium? What's the rules? What can I stay a little bit longer? Can I stretch this thing out? Yeah, we had a lot of views. So check out our YouTube channel if you haven't done so already. Brandon Rhymes Realty on YouTube. We've got 1,200 videos there. Lots of resources for you on the YouTube channel. But attorney Frnk Miranda in studio here. What are some of the most interesting suits that you've had, man? I know you probably had some interesting suits over the years. Lots. You do personal injury. You do real estate. Some niche stuff in between. What's an interesting story that you've had?
Well, we've had a few. So, I mean, our law firm practices in 3 litigation areas, which is real estate, business contractual issues of multiple kinds. We have a trial set up now on a minority shareholder issue and defamation kind of case.
Yep.
That goes to trial at the end of November. And we also litigate personal injury and wrongful death cases.
Yep.
The firm does also transactional work, as you're aware, when it comes to real estate title closings, both residential and commercial. But when it comes to litigation, I've been fortunate enough to be involved in hundreds, if not thousands, of cases going back to my days as a prosecutor. So I've had cases as a prosecutor where, maybe 2 people I was trying a case against, possession of cocaine, and the defense comes up with the opening statement and says it wasn't one of them, we'll call him defendant A. The defendant stands up and says, it wasn't my cocaine, it was theirs. Defendant B stands up and says, it wasn't my cocaine, it was defendant A's. And so I sat back and go, I just won, because they both pointed the finger at each other. So
yeah.
that was kind of a layup. That one was a layup. And then
Wow.
You don't get many layups like that. I stopped practicing criminal law probably 15 years ago, but
Wow.
that was a pretty funny story. And after the fact, no one's family was happy, and so we had to get escorted out of the courtroom at about midnight on a Friday.
Oh boy.
So that was
Yeah.
kind of fun when you get escorted with guns drawn.
I bet. Yeah,
But
absolutely.
I'm like, hey, it wasn't my fault. You guys admitted.
What the heck? Yeah.
Your buddy ratted you out, and the other buddy ratted the other guy out.
Yeah.
So it wasn't really my fault on that one.
Yeah.
Going back, some of the best lawyering I think we've done is when insurance companies have gotten really cute, meaning some people have gotten hurt in workers' compensation cases, and
yeah.
the insurance company always says he wasn't on the job and gives you an excuse, and you bring them what I call the big boy court and civil court, and when you get there, they say, no, that we shouldn't be here, because when you get there, you get pain and suffering. In workers' compensation, you're not awarded pain and suffering. And so they want to take you back to workers' comp case and workers' comp court. And I said, you can't go to one court and claim something, then go to another court and claim something different to
Right.
your advantage. I mean, fortunately, there's law on that. And fortunately, we do a pretty good job of researching the law.
Yeah.
And fortunately, we had a judge that followed the law, which doesn't always happen, I would say. And so, that being the case, that was one of our better jobs of getting someone compensation when maybe they wouldn't have otherwise. And when that happens and it's truly something that's deserved, it's very rewarding.
Yeah.
It's very rewarding.
Yeah. I can imagine just kind of being in that corner. It's like you're the coach of the team. You're the football coach. In that metaphor there, and like, you got your team, and you're just like, hey, what's the strategy? What's the game plan? I mean, you go into the courtroom with all your research done. You have all of that in place, and then to come out victorious, that's got to feel good, man.
That's a great analogy. It's a lot like a team. So, the great coaches, a lot of the great coaches have that bond with players. They know the background, the history of the person, aside from the field. And then you get to the field, the work that's been put in, the anticipation, the game planning, the adjustments during the game.
Right.
You can't plan for everything. The other team's trying to beat you too, right?
Yeah.
And so you have to be able to adjust quickly on the fly, and you have to appreciate the fact that someone's argument may make sense to someone on the jury, and how you're going to address that.
Right.
And so, just like on the football field, if they're killing you with a short run or running you up the middle, you better bring a safety or a linebacker in that A gap.
Right.
And so, the adjustments are also important to recognize that, hey, maybe our game plan isn't the best. We need to adjust to get that victory.
Right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. If you just joined us, we're talking with attorney Frnk Miranda here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. I'm your host, Brandon Rhymes, fcmlaw.com, fcmlaw.com. And he is a litigator as well. It's one of these, a lot of times you see on TV, these law firms that will advertise as if they're going in the courtroom and things of that nature. What I've found through the business world is a lot of them don't. They actually don't. They settle most of their cases, if not all of their cases. I wanted to go back to something you said, the judge following the law, right? So, when you've been in positions of potentially going to trial, or maybe it's something you see on TV, when you go to trial, it's really a big question mark, right? I mean, you can't go into a courtroom and say, "Oh, yeah, we're going to definitely win this case," right? I mean, because there's so many variables, and I think it depends on if it's a jury trial versus a bench trial, right?
They all have their own dynamics. Okay, it's like playing the football game in cold weather, in the rain, in the sun, in the heat. There's always it's a factor. Yes, it's a factor who the judge is. It's a factor who's on the jury. It's a factor who your jury pool is. Unfortunately, we have 20 or 30 people that show up in a room. We get to strike 3 for any reason that's not a reason that involves race, religion, a bias neutral reason. They get to strike 3. So your best 3 jurors are going to get struck by the other side. Their best 3 jurors that through questioning you kind of see if there's any inferences, persuasions. Typically, the cases we're trying, an insurance company is behind the scenes, although we can't tell the jury an insurance company's there. Right. Which it's I don't know if that's fair or not, to be honest with you.
Yeah, but, it's weird that you can't say. I've also heard about. I'm not sure if it's tort law or not, but you can't say what the caps are and things like that either, right? Like,
well. It's a double-edged sword. I don't think it's fair. You know, the insurance industry has one of the biggest lobbies out there, so they have this rule where we can't mention that we're suing a little old person because they ran a stop sign and seriously hurt somebody, and they don't want to pay $1 for it. And then you want to infer that, hey, you're gonna get a judgment against Mrs. Smith, who's such a nice, little old lady. Yeah. And it's not Mrs. Smith's money. She's been paying premiums for 40 years of this company, and they want to offer you $10,000 when your client's medical bills are $80,000.
Wow.
And so, I blame a lot of the backlog when it comes to the court system on insurance companies failing to pay what they really should pay, in a legitimate reason. Now, there's some cases where, for whatever reason, the plaintiff's attorney has overvalued the case. Sure, that happens. But I can tell you on a case where I've had amputations.
Wow.
And medical bills were in excess of $1 million. I've been offered $100,000.
Wow. That's totally wrong.
You can't do that. And I don't know any attorney that would take that, hopefully. But you got to do what's right for the client. You got to have the guts to go to court. You got to have the money to get the right experts. You got to do what is in the best interest for justice and what's really doing the right thing.
Right. Yeah.
And so when it comes to follow law, let's go back to your original question. I kind of diverted a little bit. What's crazy about the law, it's not like being a medical doctor, okay? The organs are supposed to be in a certain place. We know that this type of medicine is going to fix this type of injury or ailment. The law's different, and the example I use all the time is every river charts its own course. Mm. And so there's the typical rule of law for anything we're going to talk about, evidence, for example, or how to cross-examine, whatever the case may be. But there's always exceptions to those rules. And so the exception sometimes outplays your hand. And so maybe I should say judges should get a little bit of a pass because they're implying or they're going to rule upon the exception and not the general rule. Mm-hmm. And that's fine, and that's on a case-by-case basis. So it's hard to predict. It's hard to figure out the outcome. Hey, when you meet strangers and they're on a jury, they may not tell you they're prejudiced one way or another. Right. Someone may not like the way I look. Someone may not like the way I talk. And they're not going to say that to you. Right. And everyone's pleasant and what have you. And you hope that something you do or don't do is not reflective on anyone's verdict. You just want to present the evidence, and this is the evidence, and this is what I think you should interpret at the end of the day from the evidence. Right. But there's other factors out there aside from the evidence that you hope don't come into those deliberations. And so as long as people base their decision on the facts of what they saw in the case, whether they believe a witness or don't believe a witness, that's up to them too. Right. I mean, so how can you tell if someone's lying? That's a pretty vague question, right?
Yeah.
So it's based on experience. It's based on what kind of interactions you had in your lifetime. It's based on whether or not you're a liar or not. Do you
Yep.
believe everything everyone tells you? It's
Yep.
based on a wide spectrum of things. And hopefully, if it's your witness, they believe your witness.
Yeah, yeah. That's interesting. One of the negotiation tactics strategies is they're called the Pinocchio effect. If you ever heard of the Pinocchio
No,
effect.
what is that?
So just like Carlos Collodi, whatever the guy's name was that invented the character of Pinocchio, his nose would grow
Right.
as he would tell a lie. So that's true also with the word count. Typically, if somebody's telling a story, telling a lie, their word count is going to be much higher than if they were to just come straight out with it. So in other words, they're going to dance around the truth a little bit and elaborate a little bit about why they did this or how that came about. So typically, one way to spot a liar is to see if the word count is just growing and the story's getting bigger and bigger.
I can see that, and as you're explaining that to me, I got flashbacks of different people I've deposed or been at trial with, and I definitely have seen that aspect of it.
Yeah.
I've also seen the other side where they can't remember anything. I don't remember anything.
Right.
Okay, I've seen that too. But 4 questions down the road, when you ask them something that benefits them, they remember that aspect of it.
Right.
So typically when that happens, I always ask if they've ever been diagnosed with any type of memory loss, amnesia, dementia,
Yeah.
anything of that nature. Who your doctors, you taking any medication regarding memory loss?
Right.
And so if we want to play this game, I usually try to smell that out and say, well, let's take this as far as you want to take it.
Yeah, that's interesting. Wow. Well, we're almost out of time here, Frank. So Frnk Miranda, Frnk Charles Miranda Law, FCMlaw.com. Real estate law, business law, personal injury, accidental death, and just final thoughts to you, Frank.
Well, you know what? We live in a crazy time, but I was thinking about this the other day. I'm sure if you're born in 1910, you thought it was crazier. You saw World War I, you saw the Great Depression, you saw World War II, you saw Korea.
Right.
So, I mean, no matter what's bad going on, somehow we always figure out how to fix it.
Yeah, that's right.
So I'm still proud of being American. I think we're going to be fine.
Yeah, likewise. That's a good message, man. I like that. Good stuff. All right, check them out online, fcmlaw.com. If you're a FSBO out there for sell-by owners selling a property, they can help you close the deal. They've got a great team over there, Stephanie, Lauren. The whole entire team's just awesome over there. Frnk Charles Miranda Law, right here in Tampa Bay. Support the local economy by supporting the local show here, the Consumer Quarterback Show. Frank, thanks for coming in, man.
I appreciate you having me.
My pleasure. Good stuff. All right, when we come back, we're going to take a quick break here. When we come back, though, Michael Watkins, he's a principal, Tampa Bay Advisory, the 401k Revival.com. We're going to talk a little bit about investing and his new book as well, and some of the mistakes, one of the biggest mistakes that 401k investors are making. Stay with us right here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
Hey, this is Grant Cardone, and you're listening to Consumer Quarterback Show, hosted by my friend Brandon Rhymes. Do not touch that dial. I'll come right through the radio and grab your throat.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com.
Hey, Brandon Rhymes here for Cleaning Commandos here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Cleaning Commandos are hiring, and they're offering competitive wages, flexible hours, relaxed atmosphere, and a sign-on bonus. Reach out if you'd like a career with the Cleaning Commandos here in Tampa Bay. Info at cleaningcommandosllc.com or call 813-750-0550, 813-750-0550. Cleaning Commandos, Consumer Quarterback Show. Hey, Brandon Rhymes here. We are looking for real estate investors. We've got a new relationship bringing us a tremendous amount of off-market real estate investment opportunities. So text the word investor to our hotline, 813-750-0550. Off-market real estate investment opportunities. Text investor to 813-750-0550. Brandon Rhymes here, Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty, looking for real estate investors. Send us a text.
You're listening to the Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. online at consumerqb.com.
All right, welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us here. Brandon Rhymes, Consumer Quarterback Show, Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. We always help our sellers profit more and sell faster, and we feature our listings live on air on the show to help you get a lot of additional exposure that you don't get elsewhere. 5602 Land O'Lakes Boulevard, right here in Tampa Bay. This is a commercial property right here in Land O'Lakes. Great opportunity if you're an entrepreneur, builder, investor, developer. Check out this property at 5602 Land O'Lakes Boulevard. Amazing opportunity for builders, developers, entrepreneurs. About 7 acres. Zone C2 commercial. Water and sewer are available. Great expansion along US 41. Great opportunities here in Tampa Bay. You can see all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com. All right, let's welcome Michael Watkins to the program, Principal, Tampa Bay Advisory. Welcome, Michael.
Hey, Brandon. Thanks for having me.
Hey, my pleasure. Yeah, before we jump into the business stuff, just tell us a little bit about yourself, Michael.
Yeah, sure. So I was born in Richmond, Virginia, and I grew up in a single-parent household with my mom. And, you know, she encouraged me to work hard and be responsible at a young age, and I took it very seriously. And so being the firstborn male, I was my mother's little man from day one, right? Yep. And, you know, I got lucky. I scored a paper route, and I think that's where I got the entrepreneurial bug.
Yeah.
And I do other things like raking leaves and shoveling snow, washing cars. But the point is, I saved a lot of money, and I paid cash for my first car. And that's a badge of honor that I wore proudly. So
wow.
I learned the value of saving at an early age. But let's fast forward a bit. I changed my major a few times in college. I felt frustrated, you know, didn't know what direction to take, and just like a lot of people today. And but then I got the opportunity to move to Florida, and I've been a serial entrepreneur ever since. So I love serving people and problem solving as well, and I think that's important, you know, as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, that's super cool, man. I got some ties. So I played football at USF, and then I did play in Virginia at a small school called Frnk College, D3 school. Played quarterback there. And so Virginia, and then also firstborn as well. I was the first of 3 boys that my mom had as well, and was adopted also. But yeah, man, I think that's awesome. So when you make that money at a young age, it kind of teaches that work ethic, and then you bought your own car cash. That's a pretty cool accomplishment.
You bet.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your business, my friend.
Okay. Well, I own Tampa Bay Advisory in Oldsmar. It's a small boutique advisory, but, you know, my practice actually reaches a national audience, Brandon, and I'm licensed and registered in such a way that allows me to work with anybody in the, you know, continental United States with their 401k plans and other investments. But in a nutshell, I help people map out their retirements on paper and actually implement those action steps, you know, one by one. But, you know, something else that really lights me up is working with younger people who are, you know, early and mid-career to help them, you know, map out their retirement beforehand. And that all starts with optimizing their 401k account, and that's the backbone of saving more and losing less. So, you know, time-tested principles that I teach help these younger folks get excited about their finances. And when they see the magic of compounding happening inside their accounts, you know, year over year, they really get inspired to do more.
Yeah, it's so awesome, man. There's some great opportunities, especially if you're a disciplined person and you can discipline and you know, take some of that money out of your paycheck and just put it directly into an interest-bearing account, which I'm sure you're going to dive deeper in on the next segment. We're going to take a quick break. But when you do that, I remember hearing a story about a postal worker. Tony Robbins is one of my favorites, but he tells a story about a postal worker, never made more than $32,000, $36,000, whatever it was, but he invested that, and by the time he retired, he was a millionaire multiple times over because of the compounding interest and what you can do with investments and 401ks and that type of thing. So we're going to dive a little bit deeper on the flip side of this break. We've got Michael Watkins on the Consumer Quarterback Show, financial advisor extraordinaire, principal, Tampa Bay Advisory, right there in Oldsmar, Tampa Bay. So local, again, another local expert contributor on the program. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about his book, The 401k Revival, here coming up on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Plus, we have a feel-good story of the day as well. Woman finds 4.38 carat diamond in Arkansas State Park. Stay with us right here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Make sure you check out consumerqb.com.
This is Chris Voss, former FBI lead hostage negotiator and owner of the Black Swan Group, and you're listening to Consumer Quarterback Show hosted by my friend Brandon Rides.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com.
Johnny, let me know when you want to proceed.
Chris?
Yep, if he's sitting in front of it, let's go ahead.
Yeah, he is. Testing, 1, 2, 3.
Sounds good to me.
All right.
Thanks, Chris.
All right, ready to go.
So
Everyone, please stand by.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You're listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, online at consumerqb.com. Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Call Brandon today at 813-670-7372.
All right, welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Save our hotline number. At some point, you may need it. We'd love to connect you to our 50-plus show partners, 80 categories of consumer advocate content and advice here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. 813-750-0550. That's our consumer hotline. Call or text 813-750-0550. We'll make sure we put you in touch with our expert contributors. Again, all local businesses right here in Tampa Bay, supporting the local economy by supporting the show, the Consumer Quarterback Show. We greatly appreciate you doing that. Giving a shout out to the Bilmar Beach Resort, the official beach hotel partner of the Consumer Quarterback Show, Treasure Island, Florida. And there's 2 pools on site, Sloppy Joe's Beach Bar and Restaurant. You got a 2-beer beach. Clyde Smith calls it just a huge beach all the way down to the beach there, and you can enjoy the chairs and the umbrellas as well out there by the beach. But Bilmar Beach Resort, live music, great food, wonderful place to stay and enjoy that weekend vacation or staycation if you're locally here like us. Bilmar Beach Resort, make sure you let them know the real estate quarterback sent you. Take them up on those special offers. I want to remind you also, Tampa Bay's best career fair coming up. Register on eventbrite.com if you're looking to get hired, looking for a job, or maybe you're a business owner out there and you're looking to hire some folks and grow your business. Go to eventbrite.com and search Tampa Bay's Best Career Fair, Wednesday, October 20th, 6 to 8 p.m., Largo Event Center, right here in Pinellas County. Network with some of our radio show partners, over 30 businesses looking to hire as soon as possible. We're going to have a DJ out there, food and drinks. It's going to be a good time. Just come on out and enjoy some time with us. Spread the word as well. Do a public service announcement and spread the word. Tampa Bay's Best Career Fair, Wednesday, October 20th, 6 to 8 p.m. Register on eventbrite.com. All right, we've got Michael Watkins on the program. Michael Watkins, he's a principal, Tampa Bay Advisory, right here in Tampa Bay and Oldsmar, of course. And Michael, now it comes time to tell us why you wrote the book. You wrote the book called The 401k Revival. You got a website, corresponding website as well, the401krevival.com.
Yeah, well, I wanted to give 401k investors a better understanding of the new tools and, options that are available today, Brandon, and also some of the hidden traps, that people are unaware of. And so, today 401k accounts are at a record high, and people just aren't concerned about market crashes right now. And, when we're winning, it's natural to be, complacent, right?
Right.
And most people don't realize that they can take a defensive posture against market crashes. And I saw this as an area that's really underserved. And, people are really starving for leadership and sage advice when it comes to their 401k investments. Because, after all, we're all trying to save for the longest vacation of our life, retirement. And that could last, 20 years or more. In addition, I also point out in the book, I like to work with small business owners, helping them mitigate, corporate taxes so that they can use that money in other areas of their business. And I also really like helping their employees, with their 401k plans. And then, for folks that are in your profession, Brandon, we can set up solo 401k plans for them for real estate agents and other professionals that don't have employees. And this gives them great flexibility when it comes to taxes. They can use a Roth component for the contributions and a tax-deferred component for the profit-sharing side of it.
Yeah, so important. Minimize taxes, legally, pay the least amount you can, right?
Sure.
Minimize taxes, increase the amount of returns that you're getting on your hard-earned dollar. Let's face it, we all work hard to bring in income, and then we got to protect that income as well. Do you think something's about to happen? I almost feel like, when you look at the stock market and then some of the corporate buybacks, it seems like they're buying back stock. To me, it seems like they're falsely inflating some of the stock values out there. Do you feel like something's about to happen in the market?
Oh, gosh. Well, actually, right now, the market looks pretty strong, and a lot of the professionals are buying with both fists on pullbacks. But, I'm not predicting anything. I stay out of that realm. But I do believe that folks need to wake up and pay close attention to what's going on around them. So, there's a nervousness all over the world, right, Brandon? I mean, there's the ever-present danger of terrorist attacks breaking out, wars. Last week the FBI said that there was a 30% increase in homicides. And, COVID-19 has left us all weary, fearful. The nation is struggling. And national debt is supposed to reach $30 trillion by the end of the year. So my question to the listeners would be, do you think anything, just anything, could possibly trigger a market crash or a major correction? And
it's an interesting scenario. And also now you got these ships, the shipping halted out in California. There's some challenges there with supply chain. It seems like this COVID excuse keeps lingering out there as well.
Yeah.
All right, so what mistakes do you see people making? What are the big thing we do with the show is we try to point out misnomers and just some of the common mistakes that people have in different areas of business and life. What do you see happening in the 401k space for investors?
Yeah, well, there are a few, Brandon, but let's not forget it's really not the investor's fault. Most folks receive little to no investment advice when it comes to their 401k plan, and typically they don't receive any risk management advice either. So I would say one of the biggest mistakes is leaving behind an old 401k at a previous employer, so it's still exposed to high fees and market risk, meaning they could lose even more money in a market crash. And then secondly, I would say that not having some type of external warning system attached to the 401k plan could really leave them exposed to, potential disaster. And today, technology is way ahead of where it was in 2000 and 2008. So, I think that those are the two biggest things.
Yeah, absolutely. If you just joined us, we're talking with Michael Watkins here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, local financial advisor and principal Tampa Bay Advisory out of Oldsmar here in Tampa Bay. His book is the 401krevival.com. And so when you think about the investment side of folks' lives, it's been a progression over the years. A lot of the companies would do matching, and now you see more and more companies getting away from those types of programs. And then just some of the misnomers that people have out there, and of course Social Security. It seems like that's dwindling as well, and a lot of people can't really count on Social Security being around for their retirement either. Michael.
Yeah, that's true, and the thought of Social Security going away used to be more of a urban myth than what's really happening, and there's actually serious talk about that. And think about it, with $30 trillion in debt, that's going to fall on the backs of hardworking Americans. That's very real, and it needs to be repaid. So so most people, their 401k account is, their backbone of their retirement. And there are a lot of untold truths in 401ks that I point out in the book. And there's strategies that people can use to help their ending balance get larger.
Yeah, absolutely. And so final question to you, how can listeners buy the book and get a hold of you?
Yeah, so, they can go to the 401k Revival. We have a button there. You can go to Amazon or Barnes & Noble, and the book's available there. And you can contact me at 813-854-4400 or through my websites, the401krevival.com or tampabayadvisory.com.
Yeah, that's good stuff, man. Thanks for the insights there, Michael. Appreciate it. And keep up the good work out there.
Hey, thank you.
My pleasure. All right, we're going to take a quick break here. When we come back, we're going to have attorney Christopher Kubaki here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Maritime law. We're going to talk a little bit about maritime law. It's an interesting subject. First time we've discussed it on the Consumer Quarterback Show in almost 9 years of putting on shows. So it's interesting. I'm excited about this episode here, this segment coming up. Plus, we have our feel-good story of the day. A woman finds a 4.38 carat diamond in Arkansas State Park. We'll be right back here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
This is Work Done, and you're listening to the Real Estate Quarterback Show hosted by my man, Brandon Rhymes.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com.
Hey, Brandon Rhymes here. We are looking for real estate investors. We've got a new relationship bringing us a tremendous amount of off-market real estate investment opportunities. So text the word investor to our hotline, 813-750-0550. Off-market real estate investment opportunities. Text investor to 813-750-0550. Brandon Rhymes here, Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty, looking for real estate investors. Send us a text. Hey, Brandon Rhymes here for Cleaning Commandos here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Cleaning Commandos are hiring, and they're offering competitive wages, flexible hours, relaxed atmosphere, and a sign-on bonus. Reach out if you'd like a career with the Cleaning Commandos here in Tampa Bay. Info at cleaningcommandosllc.com or call 813-750-0550, 813-750-0550. Cleaning Commandos, Consumer Quarterback Show.
You're listening to the Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. Online at consumerqb.com.
All right, welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. I'm Brandon Rhymes, your host and top 1% realtor in Tampa Bay. We like to feature our listings live on air to help our sellers profit more and sell faster. We got a condo in Pinellas County, beautiful property here at 100 Oakmont Bel Air, 100 Oakmont Lane in Bel Air, unit number 611 on the 6th floor. Beautiful property. This is a condo that has $1 million views over the Gulf of Mexico. 1,300 plus square feet, 2-bedroom, 2-bath, amazing balcony views, in-unit laundry, your minutes from the Gulf beaches, of course, and you got a community pool, large family room, spacious bedrooms, and that gorgeous view overlooking the Gulf of Mexico. You can see all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com.
Somewhere sunny and 75. Tell me something good.
All right, we'd love to tell you something good here. So this was out of Murfreesboro, Arkansas. A fortunate diamond hunter found exactly what she set out to do when she visited Crater of Diamond State Park in Murfreesboro, Arkansas. According to park rangers Noreen Wedberg of California, she found a 4.38 carat yellow diamond sitting on top of the ground about an hour into the search. Rangers said it's the largest diamond found this year. And Noreen and her husband, they were retired and have spend much of their time visiting national parks. So they stopped by Hot Springs National Park in Arkansas, and then they decided to check out the Crater. The park is open to come and search for diamonds. I've never heard of this place. It's pretty cool. It sounds pretty neat. They go on to talk about how they found the gem. They went to a warmer spot, and she said, I didn't know it was a diamond then, but it was clean and shiny, so I picked it up. And Noreen said she named hers Lucy's Diamond. And according to the park's website, over 75,000 diamonds have been found at the park since the first diamonds were discovered in 1906. The largest diamond was a white diamond with pink casting weighing 40.23 carats. That was found in 1924. And in 2020, Kevin Menard found the second largest diamond, a brown gem weighing 9.0 carats. So that's pretty cool. Do you get to keep those diamonds? I don't know. That's interesting. Like, pretty cool story there. When our feel-good story. Do they keep them? Do they give them back? How does that work? They donate them to, I don't know. That's interesting. All right, we're going to welcome in attorney Christopher Kubaki. Welcome in.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks for coming in. So maritime law, this is an interesting category, man. It's very cool. And the cruise line industries, kind of jumping right into the cruise line industries, it's like that's an interesting area where people have challenges with, they have challenges with the, people getting thrown overboard. I mean, there's some crazy stuff that happens on cruises.
Yeah, cruise ships are unique, and definitely a lot of unfortunate situations occur. And so there are a unique set of laws, maritime law, to govern those occurrences. And now with COVID dissipating, the cruise ships are now, back full steam, so to speak, going back out again. So unfortunately, with that, you will have an increase of injuries and situations that occur on those, essentially those small towns that are floating on the water.
Yeah, they're huge ships, man. Some of these ships are just amazing. I mean, gosh, I took my daughter and my mom on a Disney cruise back in, I think it was like 2010 or 2009, and it was just cool. I mean, Mediterranean, Tunisia, North Africa, Naples, Italy, France, Corsica, all kinds of cool. But I just thinking, on the way back, the ship started really shaking. I mean, it was like getting hit by some large waves, and their stuff was breaking. All the wine glasses were falling down. Things were sliding. But anyways, kind of taking you back to that. But when you think about these vessels, they're out in international water. First of all, what does it have to be considered maritime law?
Right. So, all right. So, yeah, to back up a little bit, anytime you're on a passenger cruise ship, because, you're embarking out of, Port of Tampa, for example, or, Port Canaveral, essentially U.S. law, federal maritime common law will apply. So, in any of those vessels or any of those cruise ships, you're going to have maritime law, the U.S., federal maritime law applying in those situations. And now, just to be curious, I'm just curious, did you even happen to go on any excursions?
We did, absolutely.
And what's interesting is a lot of times your tickets will have a exculpatory clause saying the cruise ship is not responsible for what happens on that excursion. They're just an agent allowing you to book that, but the principal is still that excursion company, which unfortunately a lot of times is if you were in Europe, Europe is not as bad, but if you were in like Panama or Costa Rica, you'd have to be suing, Costa Rican company in a Costa Rican court if you get injured on the zip line and stuff like that, and not the cruise ship. So that's something for people to note, is that your ticket will have that type of waiver for the excursions.
Yeah. That's interesting, and even right here in Tampa Bay, like I'm a member of Freedom Boat Club. We love to go out on the boat, and live on Lake Tarpon, so we're out on Lake Tarpon from time to time. But there's a little area right over here by Whiskey Joe's, by the airport. Whiskey Joe's, kind of the opposite of Bahama Breeze, right there on the causeway. There, I hear that area has the most like boating DUIs, boating under the influence, and accidents. But if people are driving jet skis and boats and they're drinking all day, listening to music, playing volleyball, whatever it might be, and then they go out in there and they have a crash on the water, that's maritime law. Right.
Well, it depends location-wise. Okay. But, yeah, so if we're talking Tampa Bay location, because it is, connected to, the larger Gulf and the Atlantic Ocean, and also the courts have deemed that even recreational vessels can constitute what's called traditional maritime activity, and therefore maritime law can apply to the situation. Now, but for example, if you're on, one of the isolated lakes in Orlando and two vessels collide, then no maritime law is going to occur there, because there's no interstate commerce that can occur, from that lake.
Interesting.
Going to a bigger body of water.
Okay. Interesting. And tell us a little bit about some of the cases that you've had. I mean, obviously you can't go into detail, but what are some of the cases, or what are some of the things to consider as a boat owner, and you're out there having fun and trying to protect yourself, protect your family?
Yeah. So in terms of like the passenger claims, like cruise ship situation, a lot of those slip and falls. Okay. Let's say water, some substance being left out on, the dance floor or wherever on the ship. Yep. The cruise ship had notice that it was there for some time, and then they didn't clean it up, and people get injured. And that happens all the time on cruise ships. You know,
Really?
just because, well, you know, they have the pools and stuff like that. People are going, you know, traversing.
Yep.
And, you know, there's a lot of, you know, alcohol being served, and of course that spills and stuff like that.
Yep.
And if, you know, it doesn't get cleaned up, people trip and fall. And then, yes, you also have the recreational side, you know, if two boaters collide, and injuries that derive from that. And then you also have your commercial claims, and that's sailors that get injured on the, you know, the container vessels and stuff like that. And that's you know, that's a big bulk of claims as well.
Yeah, it's interesting right now. You got some shipping shortage. I got a clip I'm going to play from. I believe this one's from the Charlie Kirk podcast. But the shipping containers right now out there, there's a lot of talk about that, and whether it's manufactured crisis or it's a real crisis. I'm going to play this clip here, about a 40-second clip.
A number of economists this morning are taking their growth expectations down for the third quarter and the fourth quarter. Expect a number of companies to say the guidance is bad. They're not expecting business to pick up because of all of these manufacturing shortages. So, yes, you're spot on in saying buy your Christmas shopping now. You're not going to have the selection that you thought you did. And here's one other stat. We are now looking at the end of the year much lower than the Federal Reserve expected. The expectations for growth now coming in for the overall year of 2021 around 4.5%. That is way down from the FOMC's target of 7%, which is their projection back in March.
Yeah, so that's Maria Bartomero talking about the ships, you know, and some of the supply chain issues that are happening out there. What comes to mind when you think about these cargo ships sitting off the coast?
Well, one of my concerns, I guess, from a injury attorney perspective, is when the workers, the longshoremen that are going to take the containers and take the stuff off the containers, are they going to be overworked?
Right.
In order to try to stop that backlog whenever the ship does come in, they could try to work them too fast, too quickly,
right? And
then injuries happen as well. And that, whether it's the guys unloading,
right,
or even the sailors themselves being overworked. So that's one thought I have.
Yeah.
In terms of that backlog, and hopefully there's rules, regulations, particularly in California, to not allow workers to be exhausted beyond their safety point, so to speak.
Yeah, it's interesting that it happens off California coast, and you think about this immigration at the southern border. To me, it seems like it might be a manufactured crisis. Like, hey, that's why we need more people to come into our country. I can see certain groups saying to try to bring people in. But if you just joined us, we're talking with Christopher Kubaki. He's a local attorney here in Tampa Bay area, maritime law, Kubaki Law, PLLC. KubakiLaw.com. What else do people need to know?
I think another important thing for people to know if you're a passenger on a cruise ship is that typically for most negligence actions under maritime law, you have 3 years to file your cause of action. However, with cruise ships, on your ticket, they reduce that time contractually to 1 year.
Oh, really?
And that hurts a lot of people because it's a lot can happen in a year. Even you just don't if you forget, you're treating, etc., and you don't file the action, and unfortunately the statute of limitation is up, and you can't file cause of action against the cruise ship anymore. So that's important to read your ticket, because a lot of times there is that 3 year limitation to 1 year.
Yeah.
So 1 year to act after you get injured, or else if you don't,
so even
exhausted.
These big companies, these big names, you all know the names of these companies. I'm not going to say them, but from what I've heard and seen documentaries, how documentaries can be skewed one way or the other. But a lot of times, you hear these stories about things happening in international waters, people getting thrown overboard, disappearing, and then there's at some point on the documentaries you think that it's no recourse. Is that the case? Is there recourse on that?
Well, right. So the goal is obviously recourse again from our angle, the plaintiff side, is recourse against the the vessel owner. That is Disney Cruise, Royal Caribbean, etc. Because unfortunately, for example, a lot of sexual assaults happen.
Right, that's another
vessels.
big one. Yes,
and you're not going to collect or really get much recourse from the assailant themselves. Most of the time, there's some person from some international country.
Yep.
The chances of them getting prosecuted and held accountable criminally, hit
Very
or miss.
low.
And so, civilly, your chance for recourse is, of course, against the employer, the cruise ship company, for those damages that result for the sexual assault. And unfortunately, there's a lot of that due to, again, kind of going back to I want to say the free exchange, but the more transparent exchange of alcohol on some of the vessels and the promotion thereof.
But what about the big organizations, the big LLCs, the big groups? They're based in Panama. They're out of Costa Rica. They're corporate headquarters, right?
Right. Well, and by the way, so a lot of times the ticket itself, again, will have a forum selection clause.
Okay.
And it'll say if you want to sue us, you have to sue us in a certain court, and most are in the Southern District of Florida in Miami.
Okay, all right.
So, and again, that kind of disadvantages somebody who's from Ohio.
Right.
They come down even to like Tampa.
Yep.
Go out of Port of Tampa
Yep.
on their cruise, get injured, and now they're gonna have to go file in the defendant's form.
Interesting.
For
Okay.
Miami. Yeah.
Awesome. Hey, great stuff, man. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, thanks for having
Appreciate you. And the best website is the KubakiLaw.com.
That's correct.
All right. Good stuff. Thanks a lot, Christopher. Appreciate it. Hey, I want to thank all of our listeners, viewers out there, folks that support the show, calling into the hotline. And we want you to please go out there and consider committing a random act of kindness. Be a force for good in the community. And we'll see you next time right here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
You've been listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes. Whether it's real estate, consumer, or financial advice, let Brandon call your next play. Contact Brandon Rhymes at 813-670-7372. That's 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com. And join us next time for the Consumer Quarterback Show.